Innovation Institute, focused on research and development, is opening a location in Pensacola. Lift Technologies has a facility that will help turn concepts into marketable products, provide training to high school and college students too. They expect to employ 36 people over the next 5 years with an average salary of $113,000. Here to tell us more about their plans, Kevin Kerrigan, Vice President of Business Development, is here in studio with us, but we're going to speak with Joe Steele, Vice President of Communications. Joe, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
We talked about this before we came on the air. There's a lot to unpack here, and I look forward to telling more and more about this project as time goes on. But first, let's talk about Lift Technologies and your focus.
Yeah, so thank you. We look forward to talking about it a lot as well. We are a Department of Defense National Manufacturing Innovation Institute. In fact, we're the National Advanced Materials Manufacturing Innovation Institute. And what that means is we are trying to accelerate advanced technologies, advanced materials, and manufacturing processes into the future through technology and talent development. So we really take a look at working with the Department of Defense, working with our industry partners, understand what they need to make in the future, what they want to make in the future. Our job is to work with them and say, okay, how do we make that and what do we make it out of going forward?
Like I said, a lot to unpack here. So you mentioned a key word there, the future.
Yeah.
You all are constantly innovating. Yeah. How fast is this kind of industry moving? And you talk about the demand too.
It is moving wildly fast. Our headquarters is in Detroit. We are 10 years old. We have a 100,000 square foot facility there. And I was just joking with their chief technology officer that it's never ever done. There's always new equipment moving in,
Sure.
equipment moving around, because our mission is to stay on the leading edge and on the cutting edge of what's coming next, always exploring what is coming next and how do we need to manufacture these things, how do we need to develop new materials to manufacture them. Maybe we need to look at the way things were made olden times and rethink the materials of how they were made out of, and how can we advance them and make them at scale.
We see more and more companies coming down to our area, and innovative companies, and not the old blue-collar industries that you might have seen of old. And talking about this new project, what are some things that we need to know in the community? Well,
manufacturing is so much different than it used to be. It is clean, it is smart, it is digital. It takes a lot of education after high school. It's not the same perception that people have from years ago. So really taking a look at, keep using our Detroit headquarters as an example, but people walk in there and realize how clean it is, how bright it is, and how exciting it is to work on things that are going to go, 5,000 to 6,000 miles an hour, things that are going to save warfighter lives. And that's the sort of thing that we're working on. That's the sort of thing that the future workforce can be working on.
Now, what kind of jobs are we talking about? 36 jobs over the next 5 years here in Pensacola. What kind of jobs for those out there that are thinking, I'm not sure what I want to do, but it could be something like this.
It could be, that is to be determined, but the Florida facility, as we envision it now, would be focused on ceramic materials. Our Detroit facility is focused on making things out of metallics and advancing metal materials.
Okay.
But we need to focus on ceramics going forward, especially as the Department of Defense wants things to go faster. They want things to go higher. That means they need to absorb more heat and be able to handle more strain and more stress. And that means we need a new material to do that. So we're talking everything from PhDs to technicians.
Okay.
would be required at this facility to operate it. But we'd also be training the next generation of the workforce as well. We have a program called Operation Next that's available in Florida, led through Pensacola State College, in fact, right now, which is training people for advanced manufacturing jobs today in welding, CNC machining, industrial technology maintenance, and robotics. So it really runs the gamut.
You talk about innovation too. Pensacola State College continues to develop these programs that are just going with the times, and you see the industries like Lyft coming in and partnering with programs like that. Now, the timetable, project's still in the works, so don't know exactly when it will be here, but you mentioned you already have a presence in Florida.
Yeah.
But is there any way to know when exactly this may start to move forward?
I can't put a specific date on it.
Okay.
We expect it within the next couple of years, but we keep working with our partners. It really takes a village to enable these kinds of programs. As I mentioned, we're a nonprofit public-private partnership, so it really takes partnerships with folks like Florida West, folks like the PEDC, Pensacola State College, the state of Florida, and to enable us to actively come down here and replicate what we've done in Detroit in terms of building that manufacturing ecosystem and really accelerating technologies here.
I'm really looking forward to seeing how that goes. First time in Pensacola, everything been good so far?
First time in Pensacola, everything's been great. I appreciate the hospitality and especially the weather.
Well, we hope to see you again soon. Joe Steele with Lift Technologies. We'll have very more on this, hopefully, in the near future.